It was an era in which different ethnic groups in China fused on a scale hitherto unknown, and one in which China's territory was larger than at any other time in her history. China was by this time the most populous country and the strongest economic entity in the East, and she had already produced many immortal cultural classics, among them the longest book in the world. It was also in this era that the nation's various ethnic groups reached a consensus on what constituted a national culture. This was the age of the Qing Dynasty, and during this era, Chinese civilization would reach new heights. The year 1644 saw the beginning of the Shun reign of the Qing Dynasty. In Chinese, Shun means complying with the bidding of heaven and the wishes of the people in order to bring full order to the country. But in reality, half of the country was ravaged by war and floods, and the newly established Qing Dynasty found itself in a dire situation. The Imperial court had little choice but to adopt desperate measures in order to consolidate its power. In its later years, the preceding dynasty, the Ming Dynasty, had been constantly troubled by wars, and as a result, various water conservancy works had fallen into disrepair. Inevitably, there were serious floods. At the time, the course of the lower reaches of the Yellow River ran from Henan Province into Jiangsu Province and joined the Huaihe River and the Grand Canal near the city of Huaiyin. Silt brought down by the Yellow River was choking its course, and the long-neglected dikes were giving way, causing flooding. Because three major water systems were connected in a complicated, if not untidy way, whenever the Yellow River overflowed, its waters brought disaster to the Grand Canal, the Huaihe River, and Hongze Lake. During the 16 years from 1662 to 1678, floods caused 67 large breaches in the Yellow River, on average, for a year. The common people were suffering, and the Imperial court had reason to be concerned about its stability. The Qing Imperial court turned its full attention to water conservancy, and all along the Yellow River people were mustered to work on the river dikes. Making improvements to the flow of the Yellow River was a heavy responsibility, but it was one that simply had to be taken up. During the reign of Qing Dynasty Emperor Kangxi, water conservancy experts summed up the experience and knowledge of their predecessors and came up with a two-pronged strategy. The first involved leading clear water into the Yellow River to wash away the silt deposited on the riverbed so as to increase the flood discharge of the river. The second part involved digging a diversion course for the Yellow River at the juncture of the Yellow River, the Grand Canal, and the Huaihe River. This plan aimed at preventing the silty water of the Yellow River from damaging and blocking the Grand Canal. The strategy put in place to remedy problems on the Yellow River was innovative, and in the end, it was highly effective. The untidy Yellow River and Huaihe River water system inherited from the Ming Dynasty was sorted out, and transportation on the Grand Canal was greatly improved. Through its measures for curbing floods from the Yellow River, the newly established Qing Dynasty proved its administrative ability and its sincere desire to work for the benefit of the common people. In the 1680s, government officials and thousands of workers devoted their wisdom and labour to reinforcing the Yellow River dikes. They were carrying out an essential mission brought upon them by the times in which they lived. The Manchus who founded the Qing Dynasty were originally a nomadic people in northeast China, but now they had to learn to control water because the central plain they were ruling was a farming region crisscrossed with rivers. All the previous rulers of China had understood the importance of water conservancy, and the Manchus had to inherit this tradition if they wanted to integrate themselves with the civilization of the Central Plain. All the feudal regimes in China regarded flood control and construction of water conservancy projects as a basic task that had to be carried out in order to maintain social order and bring benefit to the people. The Qing Dynasty did likewise, following the principle that the throne and official posts depend on the rise or fall of the water of the Yellow River, and the security of the Qing Empire depends on the satisfaction or dissatisfaction of the common people. By the 45th year of the rule of the Qing Empire, the wild waters of the Yellow and Huaihe rivers had been brought under control, the dikes had been reinforced so they could fulfill the task they were meant to, the threat of floods had been greatly reduced, and transportation on the Grand Canal was totally unimpeded. On the 9th day of the 2nd month of the lunar year in the year 1689, a sacrificial ceremony of the highest grade was held at the mausoleum of Yu the Great. At the ceremony, the Qing Emperor and court ministers pledged themselves to follow the example of Yu the Great and devote all their energies to the control of floods. Yu the Great was a legendary man of remote antiquity who, when given the responsibility of bringing a massive deluge under control, was so devoted to his task that he refused to enter his own home even when he passed it 3 times. The Qing Imperial ministers worshipped Yu the Great and wanted to build a flood control system that would be as effective as the one he had put in place.